What's up everybody? We're here at Kirkistown for the Community Corner live stream. Going to give you a bit of a look around behind the scenes of what goes on a day like this. It's pretty quiet today because the TT's on as well. So not as many bikes here as you'd expect normally. And the weather's rubbish as you might expect as well. Super bikes are out right now doing a bit of qualifying. So let's go in and have a little look around. When they go past, like, so let's go in. There's a lot more that goes on in an event like this than you'd ever imagine. A lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that I never thought would happen, and the first thing that goes on is all the timing. Obviously really important. Some of these races come down to split seconds, so they've got some really cool timing gear in here. Can't really say much in here because it's kind of quiet, so just going to go in and have a wee look around. And then we'll pop up to the comedy corner. As you can see, this is the dynamic area now. We've got to kind of be quiet here. Everybody's working really hard, and our little comedy box is.
He's on the super sports. That lack of power at the minute he's fastest. But with the Super Sport 600 machines, you have to keep them second. You have to keep them right up the rails, and you have to ride them like a two-stroke. And that might not do well in this qualifying session for Corey McGreevy, because the super bikes, you can stand them up and you can that part of the tyre, whereas the Super Sport machine, you have to keep them sitting mid-corner even, so it could be difficult enough to ride through the wet weather.
See, the fellas are hard at work.
Corey McGreevy 102.1. Mark Hewitt 102.6, Carl Phillips 103.6, Aaron Spence 105.7, Jones 106.9, Mark Conlon 107, Ryan Gibson 107, Jamie Lyons 109, and Johnny Campbell 110. Johnny obviously seeing what the track conditions like.
Yeah, Johnny, what I've seen throughout the years from Johnny Campbell is he would hold back. That was cars fun, using a bit more of the road than what you're supposed to.
This is today's spot for the remote camera. Going forward, I want to have two here, one pointing up that way and then this one pointing this way, and then as the bikes go past I can just kind of flick between the two of them. But right now we've only got one mobile transmitter, so a little bit limited with that, and this is the place I've decided to put it today. Got one camera that kind of looks that way already, or I would have pointed it down that way, so we're pointing it down this way instead and picking up all that. You know, seems good in practice, but we'll see how it works out in real life. Just going to get over to it here and clean the lens. The problem I'm having today is that everything's getting so wet and the lens is getting covered in water, you know. Just chatting to the marshal there. You know, another thing about this is that none of these events would ever work without the insane number of volunteers. Like all those timing guys that were in that room below the comedy box, they're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid for it. All the marshals, all these guys volunteer, and they don't just volunteer here. They're doing like short circuits. They're doing all like Cookstown, Tandragee, Armoy, all that stuff as well. All these events, none of them would run without hundreds of volunteers. They're just willing to give up their time just to be part of it and just to kind of sustain it and just to keep it going. And you know, it really needs to be said that none of this would work, none of this would happen without these hundreds of people willing to give up their time, but just because they love the sport. It's really something. So we'll go for a wee wander around the paddock. The scooter bikes are still out and you can hear them ripping around. I mean, that's all that you hear in this place all day once the racing starts. It's just the sound of bikes echoing around. It sounds absolutely amazing. This is one of the things I really like about this whole scene. Like, I'm down here walking in the pits right now, and this is all the racing teams everywhere. And you know, you're just walking about in amongst everybody. You can go and chat to anybody. I've been chatting to all the people here. Again, it's a quiet weekend because the TT's on, so there's a lot of people that aren't here, but it's still a really busy paddock. But the best thing is, like, you know, there's no VIP passes here. None of that nonsense, and it's just a wonderful thing to really feel part of it. You know, it's so unlike any other sport. Some of these riders here are absolute world superstars. And you're just walking about, I mean, you can go up to them, you can speak to them, you can grab their bikes, you can do whatever you want. It's really incredible, you know. God, I love the old machinery. Look at that thing, absolutely brilliant. Gotta love those, I love those old bikes so much. Like, they sound great, they smell great, and they really move, you know. Just get a wee idea of what's involved in here as well. See all the tyres that these guys have got. Like, you know, a lot of these bikes, they're going out, they're using tyres for one run and that's it. So a massive cost that these teams have to you know, experience every time they go racing is actually the cost, just the cost of tyres alone. You know, you're talking maybe 400 or 500 quid a week. Here's the Parker fellas, they were on the podcast recently. Don, the fella, the rider that was on the podcast, he came off at church at the Northwest. There was a pretty bad accident, to be fair. So, you know, it's quite interesting to have that kind of you know, personal connection with somebody when they've been on the podcast. And then they're the ones that like had a pretty bad accident. I had an airbag on and everything, and he's hurt, like, but he's alive and he's okay. But anyway, Parker Racing's who that was. Don't know if Jerry's about somewhere. All right. This lovely machine.
Johnny wants to go back out again, but I don't think with the checker flag being out, he'll be able. Oh, he is letting him back.
Is the back of the truck there? 59.5. He's on track right now. He's just done a 59.5 in the wet. Seriously, these guys are lunatics. Like, I really thought today that in the rain it would be like, to my eyes, they're no flipping slower. They're no slower at all. They're flipping hammering around there as if it's dry as a bone, as if it's the best day. 59 seconds in the flipping wet. Are you mad? That just shows you the kind of, you know, one of the things that's really blown me away about this whole thing is like the level of aggression and the level of commitment from the riders is just like way beyond anything I ever expected. You know, I'm more used to the road racing stuff, so I suppose it's a little bit more chilled out, but like these track fellas, seriously, they're just flipping full on. From the second they get on that track, they're just flat out, like regardless of the conditions. You can see they're doing 59s in the wet. It's 56s, I think, are the, you know, the dry speed, so they're 4 seconds slower in the flipping wet. Some of these guys are out there in slicks. What other sport's like this? What other sport can you just, you know, rock up to the racetrack and you're in and amongst all the stars, you're in and amongst all the equipment. Any of these people will be so happy to speak to you. It's just, you know, this is what sport should be, you know, and none of this flipping VIP nonsense, none of this kind of like, you know what I'm saying. Not going to lay it on too thick. Anyway, it's just super cool to be in and amongst it all. Yeah, it's such a cool experience, this, you know. You want to see it like when it's busier as well. Just today it's like not busy because, as I said before, the TT's on, so it's a bit quieter. A lot of the team just a little bit there. But even with that, it's busy enough, you know. You know, we've done a few of these now and we're trying to improve things as time goes on, and we have definitely improved things. Trying to, you know, reduce the buffering and the video and all that kind of stuff. And just looking at it so far today, we've only dropped like 1% of frames, which, you know, is absolutely amazing and a big improvement to where we were, because I was looking at it in the past and finding that like a lot of the you know, we were dropping frames, and then that made the video look very jerky, and yeah, it just wasn't really a good viewer experience, you know. So it's one thing kind of, you know, getting all the technology together and getting it all to work properly, but then it's another thing to get it to work well, you know, and it's not really the same thing. So got past now that point where we're just trying to get everything to work, and it's great to be able to get that done, but you know, now it's about getting it to work well. You know, the reality is the Starlink, it's great. The download on it's amazing, but the upload's not as good as I was hoping for, in all honesty. And you know, we're restricted to about 6 megabits if you want a really stable connection. So that's what we're working with now. It seems to be, is that 6,000 megabits, whatever. But it seems to be stable at that. Hoping that the video quality is good. dropped it down to 30 frames a second as well instead of 60. You know, and it's all well and good. It's all well and good looking at that and watching it and stuff, but really, you know, it's only going to be later when I go home and watch this properly on my computer that I'm going to find out really, you know, how much the quality suffered. And you know, just about finding the balance between video quality and stability. You know, with both of those things, there's no point in having an amazing picture if it's just dropping frames left, right and centre and it's super jerky, you know. So I'm going to try and, I brought it down to less than what it needs to be on purpose to find that area of stability, and then once we're stable, then we'll start kind of, you know, inching up the bit rate to try and get the higher quality video. Another problem that I've been having is that my remote system, which is a Holland Parrot. It's been a bit flaky, and I've been having to do a lot of back and forward to the system to get it to work, you know, which, I mean, that's all well and good when it's one remote camera, but eventually we're going to have like 5 or 6 remote cameras, and I can't be, you know, if they're all doing that, then I'm just going to be spending my time running around trying to fix wireless cameras, and you know, that's not really doable when it comes to like 6, you know. So so we need to figure that out, you know. I made some changes with that, mainly just about how we're powering that system, and hopefully that's going to make it more stable today, because really there's no physical way I'm going to be able to be constantly maintaining 5 or 6 wireless cameras around like a mile circuit or longer. So again, changes in place for today, and really hoping that that it's going to work out, you know.
Mark Johnson then on the 500. So is that's a change of machinery for Mark Johnson?
Yes,
well,
he's a 350 man.
He's a 350 man, isn't he? So the number 46, sporting the 5, looks like Stephen McKnight's machine as well, and I think that is Stephen down there with him. So again, Stephen still under the mend.